It's 2024 still, and we're approaching 2025, and there's lots and lots of things coming out. Now, we usually do, I didn't realize this, we had started this in 2022, but we do the year in recap, all the comic book movies, TV shows, and we will get to all of them. There wasn't a lot of great stuff. There were some really good things, maybe one or two great things, but for the most part, but we're going to cover all of it, and we'll go back through animation. We'll go through the TV shows. We'll go through the films, and then we'll give a little preview of the stuff that we're looking forward to in 2025. So it is myself, Winston A. Marshall, Coy Jandro. We are excited for this episode, and we will also be covering that Batman story because it's just too big of a story to not cover today. So we'll do that and more in this episode of the Kristian Harloff Show. So let's do it. For those who know, it's take two. Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Kristian Harloff Show, Capes and Cowls, here today. And just like we're doing this for the first time, it is Coy Jandro, Winston A. Marshall. The crew is back. Gentlemen, how are you? Winston, I thought you were having a bad day. I guess we all are. You brought it to us.
Clearly, I mean, I was racing from the airport, man, to get back here, only for my computer to take a giant dump, and I think it somehow must have messed up the sound for everybody. That's my only guess. I'm just gonna say it somehow just infected everything else, man.
That was the weirdest thing. I don't understand what happened there because I literally hit nothing, and it went. And I guess normally I know what it is. Like when there's no sound, there's like a little button. I'm like, oh, I forgot to do the adjustment. Those were fine, and then for some reason, I don't know what happened, but nonetheless,
then and the people didn't get a silent, dub your own swear session. So I'm proud we did it. We're learning. We're just.
I didn't realize, guys, that we had started this in like 2022. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's their second year or third year doing it. Yeah,
that's why I got like FOMO. I wanted to have like a vacation week, and then I realized I'd be just missing you guys. Like this was genuine. Like I cannot see the homies for our annual tradition.
Yeah, we do it every year.
I wanted a break so bad, and then I realized which episode to be. I'm like, nah, I'll be there.
Yeah, you got it. And we didn't pressure you to be there. You did.
No, I literally got FOMO and was like, I'll miss them.
Yes, so we will cover that, and we're going to do all that stuff, and we'll get into it in just a second. But I was like, another reason we usually do this at the end of the year is really there's no real big news or any stories. But the internet this year said, nope, we're going to give you a bunch of stories to contemplate whether or not you want to do an episode or not. And so this was like a 1-2 punch here because the Batman Part 2 has officially been delayed for another year. That's going to push us into like 2027 or some shit. So Christmas is over, and so are our dreams of seeing the Batman in 2026. Warner Brothers has confirmed today that the sequel, which is currently untitled according to the Hollywood Reporter, has moved from October 2nd, full year, to October 1st, my birthday, 2027. That's a delay of an entire year. The second time it's been pushed by such a huge amount of time. Before 2023's Hollywood strikes, the movie had been scheduled for 2025 of October. This news is hugely disappointing and means there will have been a 5.5-year gap between the Batman and the Batman 2 by the time the latter arrives. It has also been 3 years between the Penguin and filmmaker. It will also be 3 years between Penguin and the continuation of the epic crime saga. The Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu directed untitled movie starring Tom Cruise will now open on October 2nd, 2026. Mickey 17, meanwhile, has shifted to March 7th, and Sinners is heading our way on April 18th. Penguin Season 2 is reportedly in the early stages of development and could, at this rate, reach us before the Batman sequel. Other noteworthy movies set to debut in 2027 include Avengers, yada, yada, yada. Does this delay close the door on Robert Pattinson's Dark Knight joining the DCU? Would it be better to move on from the Batman franchise at this point, despite its critical and commercial success? Will fans and moviegoers still care another 2.5 years from now? And only time will tell. Then, to couple that, Andy Muschietti was on some podcast and said that the Brave and the Bold is now being delayed, and so he's going to take another project, so that's pushed back as well. So what does all of this mean? Mike Kalinowski tweeted out, and he was like, and he said, "Yeah, I love the Batman. I thought it was great, but maybe it's time to move on from this universe at this point because it'll be 5 years, 6 years, or whatever it is between, and then they're still trying to find another Batman at this point to fit into the DCU." I got to tell you, Winston, I'm kind of with Mike on this. I love the Batman. I want to see part 2. I love what they did with Penguin. I was with everybody on saying that I didn't think that this world worked within the DCU. I say you do one of two things at this point with this big of a delay. Either scrap the Muschietti one and make, the Batman part 2 part of the DCU, or say goodbye. That's too long. What do you think? And why are you muted for some reason?
Oh, I muted myself. That was so I could not interrupt you. I kind of agree with you and Mike at this point. This is bad. I'm really curious where these delays are coming from out of the blue. Again,
is it out of the blue though? It happens like every 5 months they delay this movie.
I mean, the Batman 2 is starting to sound a lot like Blade, bro.
I know,
and that's not a good thing. It's weird. You'd think they would have somehow made it more of a priority, considering at least the Batman 2, considering the success of Penguin. So something must be going on behind the scenes to kind of make this happen. But that is entirely, in my opinion, too much time to have that break, considering you are already building out a world with Batman in the DCU. If there was nothing, it would suck, but we would suck it up. But you're really building that out. The only way the Elseworlds thing, I think, really can kind of work like that, and that these are separate things, is if they're just free flowing. That's the only way that this works. Otherwise, you're just going to confuse people. You may need to scrap it.
Yeah, Coy, what do you think? Do you think that this is something that they can push into the DCU at this point? Should they, or should they just wait it out and see what happens?
I'm kind of on the other side, and I know it's not going to be the popular opinion, but I would rather get a perfect movie once, whenever, than Russia things. I don't know what's going on. I have no context. I have no sense of what to cause this delay, but I think the Batman is the best Batman we've ever had, and I think that we've got a lot of bad Batmans. Like, there's a fun to Batman and Robin. There's a joy in Batman Forever. There's people like the campy stuff, but I personally wanted a detective David Fincher-esque Batman, and I got just that. And then they followed that up with The Penguin, which is, in my opinion, we're going to talk about favorites. I think it's one of the best superhero shows in the history of adapting. So I personally, my take is, I hope to be alive in the year, 2027, and I will happily have it right once. I'll wait an extra hour at a nice restaurant for a steak rather than get McDonald's. And I'm team steak on this one. I can have lots and lots of stuff between now and then. I think the other benefit is it gives lots and lots of time for Superman to establish himself as a character that is as important. People complain all the time that DC front loads Batman too much. Maybe it's time that, we pair Superman and Batman over the years. Every couple of years, you got this impact. I personally have no problem 5 years between movies. I survived one superhero movie a year my whole childhood. We've got lots of stuff to eat as an appetizer at this restaurant waiting for that steak. I'm cool with it. That's not a popular opinion.
But I'm team steak when it's the only thing in the restaurant, right? Like, if it's like, okay, look, we know we're going to get a steak and we're excited about it, can't wait. Okay, I'll wait a little bit to get it. But then it's like, yeah, but you have all this other stuff right now. You got a really, really huge menu. And my appetite could change really quick, because if you look at the Batman is supposed to come out in whenever 2025 originally. It's like, okay, that's only 3 years between. We can handle that. There's nothing really coming out in the DCU. Fine. You push it again, you push it again, you push it again. You haven't even established your DCU yet. If you establish the DCU, and you can also say it in an optimistic way right now, because you don't really have anything to base it on, because all you know is that Superman's coming out. Superman is coming out. We all want it to be great. If Superman is great, and then Supergirl is great, and all these other ones are great, you're going to eventually start saying, where is Batman in this world? Where is Batman going to be in the DCU? And if they get Batman out in, let's say, 2027, the Brave and the Bold one, or whatever, which one it is, and then the Batman Part 2 comes in at the same time, if I'm Warner Brothers, I'm like, I hope people still care, because are they still going to care? I don't know.
The only way if you had that Arkham show or whatever it is you had in the tank, or a second season of Penguin or something, you need something to kind of hold stuff over. because I genuinely think you're going to lose a lot of steam and momentum, especially because Coy, I totally get it. Anybody that watches this show, us, things like that, will be able to tell the difference. But the way you end up making $1 billion like that is you get the fanboys on board, but then you get the general audiences, and the general audiences are gonna be when we were talking about it before, you could separate it out to just kind of be like, this is kind of associated with that. But if it is so far apart, so this is the Batman, that Superman movie, that was good. So now Rob Pattinson gonna go fight with him. I just see the chaos that's coming out of this.
And who's to say it's going to come out in 2027? What if it get pushed again to 2028? At this point, like you said, Winston, this is like Blade. It's like that's when they say it's coming out now. You've moved it so many times now that I don't believe you. You know what I mean? I don't believe you anymore that it's coming out in 2027. It's like you said, if you move it once, twice, 3 times later, once or twice, then I will be able to believe you if you get it done. But if you start moving it every 6 months, it's like there's more going on here, as Winston, as you said. I think there's more going on behind the scenes than just whether it's them trying to combine it, whether it's James Gunn, Matt Reeves trying to get on the same page, trying to figure out what it is in this universe. I also don't think it's a coincidence that Brave and the Bold gets moved around the same time as they're trying to figure this out. I think there's more to this story. So
the last little thing with y'all's food metaphor, man. I mean, I hear you about wanting a steak, but at a certain point, if the whole rest of the table is eating, I'm going to get a little pissed off if my food is 30, 40 minutes late and y'all are ready to pay the damn bill and I still haven't seen anything. So
yeah, we'll see. All right. I ask you guys, what do you think about this story? Is it a mess? Is it like, hey, who cares? I mean, look, Avatar waited 12 years before it came out. But then again, that was still the only game in town in that world. So put your thoughts in there. Let us know exactly what you think. All right, because I don't want to do any interruptions on the best of and the recap of the year. I'm going to tell you guys now about every single show. I tell you that you guys help us out tremendously when you get one of our sponsors. And who is loving Via as much as me? I don't know if anybody is, but I know a lot of people are. A lot of people love it. So let me tell you a little bit about Via. And then I'm going to tell you about BetterHelp. Here you go. You're welcome. Yep, I gave you the gift of Via. That's right. And I'm going to give it to you again. If you want to break from the crowded stores and the endless gift lists, you restore your zen and you embrace the natural power of cannabis this holiday season with Via. This holiday season, you got to unwind, you recharge with Via. Whether you're enjoying a quiet evening at home or embracing the festive cheer, Via's premium THC and THC-free gummies will help you find your perfect holiday balance. Via is well-renowned for their award-winning THC and THC-free gummies, and they legally ship to nearly all states in the U.S. in discreet packaging directly to your door with a worry-free guarantee. There's no medical card required. Right now, Via is having a huge holiday sale. For a limited time, you can save up to 25% off of site-wide plus up to 50% off select items and bundles. So if you are 21 and up, check out our link to Via's website in the description. I absolutely love Via. There's so many different things. It does feel like Christmas when you get it. Anyway, my favorite one is the sleep one. I really dig it. It's wonderful. Really nice dreams. Use that code Kristian for 25% off. And after you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. You got to support our show and you tell them that we sent you this holiday season. Enhance your everyday with Via. You're welcome. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. So I know a lot of people are getting comfortable in wintertime. You're cozying up near the fire. You're spending some time with some loved ones. But I'll tell you what you want to do also. You want to find your strength, and you can ditch the extreme resolutions that are coming up soon and make changes that really stick. So therapy is something that people need to do. If you are thinking about it, I will tell you that the best thing to do, we've learned, is BetterHelp has helped so many different people on this show. Roxy's talked about it. I have people in my family that have benefited from it. And it's online therapy. I've told you that. It's designed to be convenient. It's flexible. They work around your schedule. And if you're thinking about starting therapy, you got to give BetterHelp a try. You fill out a brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime, no additional charge. So celebrate the progress that you've already made. You got to go to betterhelp.com/bigthing. You get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp, HELP.com/bigthing. All right, thank you to our friends over at both BetterHelp and, of course, Via. Man, I saw a lot of people tell me that they signed up for Via for the Christmas time, and I said, you probably really enjoyed your Christmas. I'll tell you that. Okay, so let's do this. This is what, because Winston, you were late and you held up the show today, so you're going to go third. And I can guarantee you, I already know this is how this works for everybody when we do this show. Basically, we go through comic book movies, TV shows that we want to talk about, and normally what happens is we usually pick the great ones that we want to speak about up top, and we give a few things that we really liked about it. We have a little conversation about it, and then we move on to the next one, and then eventually it starts to weed out into the ones that are not so great, and you still got to bring those up and talk about it. And there's a lot of things actually that I realized, A, that aren't that great this year, and B, I really missed a few of these because I was looking at a couple of these shows and I was like, oh man, I haven't seen that one. I know the guys are going to talk about that. But this is what I kind of guarantee is going to happen. I know the first one I'm going to pick. I know what Coy's going to pick. And then I was like, well, Winston's going to get the third pick, but I still think I know what he's going to pick. So we'll see. So I'm going to start, and I will bring it up, and I'll say the first one that I will bring up is one we just mentioned, and that is the Penguin. The Penguin to me is not only the best comic book, a show, movie, anything. It's one of the best television shows that was out all year. The drama, the idea of this mixture of like a Breaking Bad meets Sopranos in the DC world, it bums me out in that last story that we just talked about because I want to see this world continue. I really do. I just, on a business side of it, that's the conversation we just had. But overall, Colin Farrell, his performance, Kristen Milioti, who is a really good actress, but just this is the best work she's ever done. And Renzi Felice, all three of them it was like a tag team, a triple team of just like crazy performances, and you really cared, and it took you on such a whirlwind of emotions from the beginning to the end of it. I thought this was brilliance, this show. I really, really loved it and everything that they did. But Coy, I know you share my sentiments on this one, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of my favorite shows ever, and it happens to be an adaptation of characters I love, but it felt secondary. That's something I really enjoy when I don't have to give it that, like, oh, this comic book property. It's, oh, this property that is comic books. I really, really think I waited 35 years to get something this good in this universe. I can wait another 2. That's part of why I'm okay with the delay, and I know that's not going to be popular, but I have waited longer for things. I think this was the perfect Penguin story. I think this was the perfect crime saga. I think this built out Gotham in a way that I never expected to see. I think it is for people that like or don't like comic book adaptations. And that's also really interesting. Like, I would recommend this to friends and family that have no interest in Batman, and they would still be able to get stuff out of it if they're into drama television, crime sagas. Like, there's so much to this show. And like you said, the performances are exceptional. The bar is now set much higher, and it's the Penguin.
Winston?
Yeah, man. I mean, this show is fantastic. I really think probably the strongest episode personally is the episode that we get to see how, quote unquote, the Hangman is born. But overall, the storytelling, the parallels to characters that we may not actually be seeing. And shout out to Coy for pointing that out about how Vic really kind of felt like he was playing the role of Jason Todd in all of this, even with how he was introduced with the stealing of the rims. But like, I really think that this was such a strong showing, and further allowed us to world build more, which is why I think that like what we just talked about is so damn tragic about the Batman Part 2 potentially being delayed for another year. And who knows if ultimately then we lose the whole thing, because you have put something so immaculately well designed together now over the course of a movie and a very, very interesting miniseries that this show was top tier this year, but for sure.
It was really great. I'm glad that it exists. I mean, because it really is such a wonderful show, and it just shows that you can put things in a dark perspective in that world and make it seriously, kind of what the Batman did, also in that David Fincher way. So, okay, that's that one. Coy, I'm going to pretty much guess what you're going to pick here, but go ahead and say it anyway.
I mean, my number one was The Penguin, even over this one, which was my
gonna...
number one movie of the year. Deadpool and Wolverine. I gotta give some love to my boys. I know Kristian had the art at the ready because I'm predictable.
Yep.
I just gotta give some love to something I never thought I'd see. I didn't honestly think, even with all of the friendship and the power of casting, best friends in real life and Sean Levy directing both of them separately, we'd ever get Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine. I didn't think we'd ever see Fox get an actual send-off. I loved Fox as a character as much as I loved Deadpool and Wolverine as characters in this, because I did grow up in those Fox movies. This movie was a very interesting use of weaponizing nostalgia for good and not evil. I personally got a lot out of even the Green Day song at the end. I got a lot out of this clearly being a love letter to people that grew up at a certain time, in the way that a lot of the 80s movies were for people of that generation. And a lot of the times you watch like 90s movie being so referential to the 50s. We are now old and getting these things, and we got them.
How dare you?
Wolverine. Oh, I said it out loud, full chest. We're old, and this is happening, but it's happening with comic stuff because we're 20 years into this run, and that feels really special to have the meta-ness of Deadpool get to reflect the storytelling that only works in a shared universe. This is everything Multiverse of Madness should have been. This is the rare, full peak strength shared universe. What you can do adapting comic story. Like, this is the greatest hits of a universe that's kind of fallen apart in the multiverse. This is showing what you can do. I loved it personally.
I mean, look, not a single other comic book or superhero film was touching Deadpool and Wolverine. If we're taking it at face value, and there's a reason for that. It was incredibly well put together. It was incredibly well done. Hell, it was so in the zeitgeist this year. One of my, for those that are avid Elementary fans, I keep talking about this. There's an episode called Dad Fight where one of the kids' dads is pissed off because he thinks the teacher's trying to say he's a bad dad. And at one point, the teacher looks at the camera and goes, "What's with this guy?" And he goes, "Oh, you think you Deadpool, huh? Like, I'm gonna whoop your ass." Like, it just, that Deadpool has and then Wolverine had just fully taken over this year, from the marketing to the actual movie itself. It was absolutely stellar, man, and it didn't rely so heavily on trying to make reference to stuff that was all that it was. That was the lifeblood of it for sure. But it focused on telling a very interesting story between two opposites that genuinely lost everything, and what would it take to try and make up for that. And it told a very, very compelling tale that honestly eclipsed every other superhero movie that was out this year.
So for me, it's like one of the things I think that this movie also did very well, and I think you just kind of touched on it a little bit, Winston, was that how it did cross over into the mainstream. And I think that when I took, the first time I saw it, I took my friend James, and I don't know if he saw all of Deadpool 2, right? But he was definitely not caught up on the MCU. And it didn't matter to him. I'm sure he missed a lot of like jokes and stuff, but like for the most part, he loved it. And then my friend Sam, who's been doing the watch along with me, we did the reactions for her first time watching both Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2 leading into the third one. That's the first one. We're doing MCU now, but that was the first way that she was introduced to it. And despite what some of the fans were saying, I'm so glad that I approached it that way with her, from going from Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2 into it, to see if she could catch on to it in that way. And she did. And she really enjoyed it very much so. And I think that there's just so much that they did. It's an overall comedy, right? I don't think it's one of these things where they say about the MCU is like, oh, well, look, they can really come back now with Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't think we're there yet with that movie, because that movie serves as an overall comedy, playing a lot of the jokes of even saying how bad the MCU, the multiverse was, and how they needed a savior and all these things. It's a very well done comedy, and it's great to see Wolverine back and to see all these things. But it is essentially a comedy inside of the Deadpool 3 and not an MCU savior movie at all. I think when was Loki season 2? That was last year, right?
Last year.
Yeah, right. Which is crazy that it's gone that fast. But I think like that to me was the best multiverse thing they've done so far, is Loki season 2. As far as, because I don't disagree with you, Coy, that this is kind of the way that they use the multiverse in this is the way they should have used it in Doctor Strange. I still think that it was used as a bit of a gimmick at times in this, but that's what Deadpool does. Deadpool is, but it is an entertaining movie. It is a lot of fun, and I guess process of elimination. It is the only good comic book movie out this year, really, for the most part. So we'll get into the other ones, but I don't know.
Yeah, the movie MVP is one of one, which is the first time I think since any of us have been covering this stuff where we're in that position.
Yeah, no. When we get into some of these other movies, you're just gonna be like, oh my goodness, they should have. What happened there? I don't know what is that? Why did that happen?
What?
I don't know what.
We're multiversal.
I don't know what is happening right now. It's really strange. I don't know what the hell's going on. Anyway, so I think
Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, I think that movie is one I knew Coy was going to pick, and just like that, I know what Winston's going to pick. But Winston, should I put the graphic up and you can tell me if I'm wrong?
I mean, I'm assuming that what you're going to put up right now would happen to be what I argue is the best TV show of the year, and that would actually be X-Men 97, and you know me all too well. Yeah. Look, man, you want to talk about the idea of being able to take an IP, take a nostalgia, something that we legitimately have not seen since the 90s, and not only did you come back, you came back stronger than what it was when we originally left it. You came with fresh ideas. You focused on some of the biggest storylines that we've seen in X-Men. Talking about oh my God, Coy, what is it? It was Extinction. What was the Genosha? It was E for Extinction, right? That was my brain's a little fried right now. Right. But E for Extinction, bringing that into there. Really having us trying to figure out the mystery of what's going on, setting up things like Onslaught and Apocalypse and all that for the follow-up season, and really giving us a fresh take, let alone, and I think this is one of the big things, as much as we love Wolverine, both in Deadpool and Wolverine and everything else, there have been plenty of X-Men fans that have said to constantly put Logan at the center of everything is a mistake. And you found a way to still have him be involved, but to give him more of a backseat and supporting role and to let other characters really shine. I have never really been that much of a Cyclops fan personally. And the fact that everybody was out here fanboying and giving Cyclops his due, that you really got to the core of Magneto and Charles's relationship and things like that, it was just bar none for me the best TV show of the year, not just animated, not just superhero. For me, it was my best TV show of the year. So I have nothing but praise to heap on this one.
It's great. It's absolutely great, and it does remind me of, because I didn't watch the original series, but I did read the X-Men comics growing up as a kid, and it reminded me of that field. What you were just talking about with Wolverine, where he didn't have to be in the forefront, even though he's a great character, and he'll have his episodes, and he'll have more episodes as they're coming up to where they're going to focus in, but they didn't need to. They wanted to show you, hey, this is the reason why this is popular is because everybody's pretty damn good. And look at the stuff they did with Storm, which really worked. I mean, there was so much emotion, the way that they incorporated the Rogue and Magneto stuff, and the way they made all that work. There's some crazy stuff going on with Gambit and other emotional levels in this show that just hit a really, I think, a next level. And I think that I was gonna crack a joke, but I'll crack the joke anyway and cover it soon. The only way this show would have been better if it was live action. I'm kidding, Fandomator. I'm kidding. Animation was phenomenal in this show. It really proved that this is the medium for this that worked really well. It was like a comic book coming to life. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant show, and I'm glad that I'm curious what they're going to do with the second one, but we'll see. Coy, what'd you think?
I'm a little worried about the second season because of apparently some of the What If team, and I am not loving What If as much as I'd like to be. But I think X-Men 97 is the dream. Like when you could do a sequel that is a reboot, it reminded me obviously a very different medium and use of it. But when Star Trek came out, suddenly I understood Star Trek. This was cool because I always loved X-Men, but suddenly people that didn't know the characters got X-Men. Like, I got to watch it from the outside with Star Trek, and then I got to watch it from the inside with X-Men. I got to see people discover something from years past and find their way in, and that was really wonderful because, next to Spider-Man, X-Men is the comics I have the most of. I have 90 X-Men comics left in the world, and I have every major title of X-Men. Like, this is my world. I love these characters, and they got their due. And Winston brought up a great point. Like, I am a huge Cyclops fan, so I was coming from the opposite side where, like, I know what he can be, but I've not had any medium to point to than comic books, and I'm not going to get someone to read 100 comics, but now I can be like, X-Men 97, you get Cyclops now. Yeah. Like, you understand why I love the character.
Dude, let alone the originality of the use and the display of powers in the show. So, like, showing a future Jubilee that has fully learned how to just, like, slang, like, destructo disc type, like fireworks, to show the bamfing through the dimension and to see Wolverine get like warped by it in the final fight with him and stuff like that, to see, Storm manifesting her new outfit, which is actually a throwback outfit. Just so much cool. Gambit. Oh my God. I just even that and remember it. And
there was more weight in that moment than there's been in a live action death in comics in a while.
Yeah,
I would argue in pretty much any of the stuff we're talking about, I don't know if there was a heavier moment, maybe in Penguin, but even that, I would still say I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong here, I felt like the cultural zeitgeist was talking more about that Gambit moment than any one particular moment in Penguin. I feel like that.
I would disagree with that only because I think that that show had a bigger audience than X-Men 97. But when you watch that lead up to the moment we're talking about in Penguin, it was a long time before you're like, wait, what? No, like, and there's a lead up to it, as opposed to this one, which was a little bit of a lead up, but when it did happen, it was devastating. There's no doubt about it. And everybody who was watching the show was clearly talking about it, and it was the biggest moment of the show. I would say it's probably number 2 behind the Penguin. That's personally, but it's still both of them very emotional moments. So then that would go to me, and on the next one here, so far we've covered those 3, and I think that if I'm going to bring one of them up, then I'll probably have to go right back to animated, and I'm going to go with Creature Commandos. Brand new, just came out, and I've only seen, I think, like 5 or 6 right now, but they're pretty damn good. I like what they're doing with them. It does have a Suicide Squad feel to it, and I think that's kind of the point-ish a little bit. It's like, and I think that this is what they've done each one. What he did with the Weasel episode and the GI Robot episode alone showed you that you can do things within animation, within just good storytelling overall, that drives forward, just good characters in general. So I'm enjoying what I'm seeing here with this show. Coy, you're enjoying it as well, yes?
Yeah, this would have been my next poll too.
Okay.
I really, really think it is doing what good graphic novels do, where it opens with the team and then each episode feels like an issue highlighting a character, but it still has the A plot of the team. But each episode has an A plot focusing on the character that moves the show's arc into the B plot, and you care about both equally. That's so hard to balance from a storytelling perspective, where you're invested in each character, but you also want to know how the actual momentum of the show is going. I think it has very interesting dynamics because they're using the idea of, Task Force X is something that is you still have these very approachable, you can understand, like, someone's in a bad position, like Idris Elba, he's still a family man, he's done horrible things, but you're connected to him that way. When you make the monsters, it's really good writing to show that you can connect to these characters that a lot of people don't have any association with, that don't have an eye line into. And then you've got your one anchor of Frank Grillo, Rick Flag Sr., who's getting so much more to do than he ever did in the MCU. And I've always loved Frank Grillo. It's beautiful to get to see him get to play a character versus just being, Crossbones had so much more potential through Frank Grillo, and getting to see characters like Frankenstein, another Frank, right, that is like this warrior poet that could be written in such a way he's just an antagonist, or just a protagonist like he is in the comic books, but instead they're making him like a captivating, like, oh, I feel gross liking this guy at times, and other times I'm like rooting for him. Everyone's a lot more nuanced in this than the average show, much less the average show about monsters. So I'm impressed with the writing, I'm impressed with the action. Dr. Phosphorus is a character I've always loved the design of. Getting to actually spend time with him is delightful. Digging it.
Winston, where are you at with this show?
I'm genuinely really enjoying Creature Commandos. I think the biggest takeaway from it is not that it's necessarily doing anything incredibly special one way or the other, but more so because it's a reminder for anybody that wanted to doubt James Gunn and what his vision was going to be for this DCU. He's showing you exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get witty humor. You're going to get tear-jerking storylines. You're gonna be mad. You're gonna be rooting for a villain, and then not rooting for a villain. You're literally going to feel all of the feelings, throughout. And that is why I've never been worried about what Superman will be, what the DCU will ultimately be, because with him just at the guiding light, this is giving me the same feelings that Peacemaker did a couple years ago, where I'm like, wow, what a pleasant surprise, but also, why am I surprised? Like, honestly, why am I surprised when I have seen his work in the past? And that's what I'm getting out of Creature Commandos. It's been an absolute fun ride so far.
It has, and I think that they already announced season 2, and it's an introduction to the DCU that I think it's more so a couple characters that could pop up here and there, but I think it's done a good job thus far in setting a tone, and knowing that if you're a James Gunn fan, though, you knew this kind of tone was coming. The question is, what's he going to do following up next year with a movie that's going to be on all of our lists one way or another next year, which is, of course, Superman. All right, Coy, so let's see if I can guess where you're going with this one, but you tell me, and I'll see if I can find it.
All right, I think we have one good property left in a year, as far as like the big titles. I know Winston mentioned a couple ones that I hadn't even considered, but there is a second season to a show that I did enjoy that Winston brought up that I had slipped my mind. I'm actually going with a season 5 of the show, The Boys. This was my last of the absolute greats of the year.
Was it season
I think
4?
all
5, yeah, sure. Sorry.
Oh wait, is it 4?
I thought it was 4, but maybe you're right.
You might be right. No, I think you're
5
right.
is the final season. This was 4.
Because 5 stuck in my head because they kept saying season 5 final. Yeah. Thank you. 4. I think this is still in that A category. I think we did a couple sprinklings of B's, but then it drops pretty steadily to D's and F's. But this, to me, is still in that upper caliber of best of the year. I personally love this cast so much. I really think they did such a good job balancing how disgusting the world is with how captivating the world is. I think it's an interesting commentary on so much in the world that we're dealing with at all times. And again, I don't have any interest in getting political because all it is a waste of me dealing with people. So I'll just say I enjoyed that the people that didn't understand the show got to realize how exhausting they are to us by watching characters that they didn't realize reflected how some of us see them. And I really enjoyed the reveals and the evolution of these characters and how much depravity can be pushed into surreal levels using the medium of comic book content. Like, it really pushes boundaries in fascinating ways. So I dug it. I like this season a lot.
This is one where there's going to be a few of these shows and one movie that I won't actually be able to talk about in depth because I haven't seen this season. It was where I've seen season 1, 2, and 3 and loved them. I just, there was just so much stuff that came out this year. I'm like, okay, if you catch it at the right moment, I can still stay on board and then I can watch it. But then so many different things kept flying, and I didn't catch on to this one yet. I think I'll eventually get to it, obviously, before the season 5 comes out. So I want to see it. But Winston, go ahead, Coy. What?
You have 2 years till season 5.
Okay, so I got time. But Winston, what about you?
Yeah, I thought this season of The Boys was very, very good. I definitely think that some of the other seasons were stronger, but that doesn't take away from the fact that this particular season went for a few things, and I feel like they worked. Sister Sage, I thought, was an incredible ad and a very interesting commentary. The idea that the smartest person in the world, which she reminds everybody, keeps being, oh, she's the smartest woman. She's like, I'm the smartest person. And that whole thing, and between her and Victoria, and the idea of being powerful women in spaces where then, like, men, if you bruise their ego too much, like will lose it, and then you'll not be like. There was just a lot of like really smart commentary that always comes with this show that doesn't beat you over the head with what it's trying to say, while at the same time using references to real life to beat you over the head with that. Like it's almost like it's beating a lesson into you, but in a way that you kind of enjoy because of just how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
But I've always been a fan of this show because they have found a way to constantly spoof the things that we like or dislike outside of the show, and to find a way to make it fit within the universe that they're in. So,
okay, so that's The Boys, and then it jumps to Winston, and Winston, I think I know now what you're going to take.
No, you don't.
Oh, no,
I promise you don't.
I do.
Okay, I still think you don't, but I will say this. I am of the mindset that, you know, I like the idea of the compliment sandwich. You start with something nice, go with something crappy, and then you start with something nice on the other end. And we've been really lovey-dovey right now, so I think we need
it up. You want to stink it up? Okay.
I want to stink it up just a little bit.
What do you want?
Oh God, I got to shit on the Crow, man.
Oh, the Crow. I did not even pull that in. Wow. I forgot that even came out. Wow.
I put that in my text this morning specifically because I knew there was no way to remember it.
I have to shit on the Crow because
you keep taking a dump and I'll find the
no, of course, because, you know, obviously you guys are very fond of the original, which I still haven't watched yet because I want to save that reaction moment to do that. But I went in with like a blind kind of hope where I was like, all right, look, I like kind of the styling of what's going on here. I'll give it a shot. Let's see what happens. I've been made aware of what this is. Let's see what happens. God, I should have not have seen what happens. That was a tragedy. And not in the way that the original one is, that like pulls at your heartstrings and also makes you go, oh, awesome action. Some of the action in this was very cool. A lot of this stuff didn't make sense. Like, you're literally watching a man get shot a bajillion times in front of you with all your other security guard homies are like running at this dude, and he's taking them fully in stride without any sort of thing, like a literal Grim Reaper beheads a dude, and you're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reload my gun and shoot again. Hell no, I would run away. Like, it would be little things like that where I'm like, none of this is really making sense, even for a comic book movie. And it felt like, while I think the chemistry between Skarsgård and Twigs, FK Twigs, I think is her name, was good, the connection with everybody else was just pathetic.
Yes,
and I hated it.
It's so funny. I've dodged. I mean, well, I'm still gonna wind up watching this, and I'm still gonna. There's another one on the list, movie wise, that both of them, same thing happened. For this movie, I was going. My dad had surgery, so I went to go spend some time with him in Florida for a little bit, and this movie came out the weekend I did, so I missed the screening of it. And I just, then you guys hosted the show and talked about it and all that stuff too. And then there's another one on the list that I got sick, and I wonder if someone was looking out for me on both of these things. So, Coy, you saw this piece of shit too, right?
I would say this is better than any of the Spider-Man movies that came out this year.
Wow.
That didn't start.
Well, that I would agree with. I'll give you that.
I'm going to put this at
over Venom.
I think it's right there with Venom.
Really?
As far
I didn't see it, so I can't say.
I got more out of this than the average person. I'm not defending it in any way. I'm not going to pretend this isn't a C-. But I also thought, like, I give Venom like a C+. So I do think Venom's a little better. That's a fair point. But The Crow, to me, if it wasn't The Crow, could have been an interesting goth love story, because we've had so few movies in the space that actually feel like love stories that I think I enjoy just an actual relationship. Like, they felt like they loved each other, and I don't think we see that very often. And I don't think that the subculture of people that are in the goth art space get a lot of love in movies now. So I really like seeing the culture reflected. I really enjoyed the sensibilities of playing with the textures and the stank of it. I really liked that the movie felt like it had an actual flavor. Now, the writing, garbage. The character villain arc didn't work, but the atmosphere and the relationship was strong enough that I put it in the bottom of the middle of the year, which puts it above 2 out of the 3 Spider-Man universe movies. And like, I'd watch The Crow again before I'd rewatch What If.
Wow. Interesting.
Damn, for real?
We didn't even get to that yet. So yeah, that one I missed for sure. Winston throwing a stink grenade in the middle of the party.
And I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's the top of
I know,
the off.
I know. It's all right. So that one, so The Crow stinking up the joint here as one of those. So let's say I'm going to go to the next one. I'll follow up with Winston. Then I'll take a. No, I'm not going to go with stink pile because I'll go back to one that I think you guys were sleeping on. I'm surprised neither one of you guys brought this up. I think because Coy said that there's no more good shows after that one. And I think he's going to.
Oh no, there's a great one.
Agatha All Along.
Yep.
Now,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So Agatha was one where, like I said, this show was. I'll tell you why it was smart because it didn't overspend. It knew what it wanted to be. I still take the whole point of like it aimed towards a particular audience. It hit that audience and then it expanded past that audience. And it told its story. It knew what story it wanted to be. It was, it was charming. It was a little goofy at times too. And was it a great show? I think it was great, but I had fun and I thought it was charming. And I wound up really liking it. And Catherine Hahn can really do no wrong with me. I think she's again, just, she owns the role. And I think that what she did in this, and because this was a show that I said, who the hell needs an Agatha show? Who needs an Agatha? It's very similar. I didn't love it as much as I loved Andor, but it was the same way I felt about Andor when they said they're giving Andor a show. And I'm like, why? Why is Andor getting a show? I know that he dies. Who cares? And then it turns out to be the best written thing since Empire Strikes Back, right? And this one is one of those things where after all these shows that they're putting out, you're like, this is the show you're going with? Now, do I think that there needs a continuation of this show? No. Do I think it's a fun thing to watch on the holidays? And did I enjoy watching with my wife? Yes. So I think it was a nice, pleasant surprise, especially after some of the other crap that both Marvel and Star Wars has put out recently. But Winston, what do you think?
I mean, this is probably. I need to go back and I haven't done my full top 10 TV shows of the year, but it's certainly in my Rushmore, I would argue.
Wow.
I think it was very well done. It might get bumped down to like
year
5
or
or
Rushmore of Marvel
of TV shows of the year. It might get bumped
year.
down to 5 or 6, but at least for the time being, it's in my Rushmore of the year for TV shows. I think it knew exactly what it wanted to be. It didn't try and pretend to be anything other than that. It found a way to like include anybody that follows the MCU, but to go after a target audience, which has been the main thing that I've said, that's how you breed success, is focus on who it is you really want to see the show. Don't alienate other people, but just focus on them and then make sure it connects in one way or another, because we've decided that this is all connected one way. And then you put together one of the best ensemble casts that we've seen between Catherine Hahn and Sashir Zameda. Oh my God, who played the old clairvoyant witch? I can't remember her name all of a sudden.
Patty LaPone.
Patty.
Thank you. Patty Capone. LaPone, excuse me. I know. Patty
I didn't want people coming at you from the Broadway set.
No. I appreciate that. Thank you. You didn't know it? Oh, just because you're one of them.
You ever see Patty's comments on Madonna? It's the best.
I
She said, she just straight out says, some people should sing and some people should act. She shouldn't act.
I have heard of that.
And then Aubrey Plaza brought it back up and asked her, and she's like, you famously said that Madonna shouldn't act. Do you stand by that? She goes, yes.
But yeah, man, I think that this show was it was really, really well done. And again, I think the ones that we have all really heaped praise onto are the ones that focused on strong character development and focused on like a compelling like story and just what is going to pull at your emotional heartstrings. So in the same way that we're looking at the Penguin, really just wanting to prove to his mom that like he's got something, in the same way that we watched an X-Men 97, like Charles having a full meltdown when he realized he left his family behind. We watched this with Agatha, and to see Billy trying to do whatever he can to get to his brother, and at the same time watch Agatha trying to atone for her sins somewhere deep down by the time it's all said and done. So I just think that this was a very strong showing, and was one of the best TV shows of the year.
So yeah, go ahead, Coy.
I was wrong. You're right. Agatha absolutely makes that top tier list. It's actually the inverse of a lot of my Marvel experience with it was not for me at the start and then ended amazingly. Whereas I often find the last episode of Marvel TV being like, I don't know if that, like, I think WandaVision is one of the best things Marvel's ever done, but I didn't love the last episode. Agatha is the inverse for me, where I was not feeling it at the beginning, but it found its way to me through certain episodes, through connecting to certain characters. I think the last 3 episodes or last 2 episodes, and then like most of the episode prior, like, are absolutely exceptional. I think it's got great writing. I think the comedy found its way into my heart. I think it really, really is unique in the way it sets up protagonist antagonist relationships. Like, Agatha isn't a cut and dry. I would actually say a lot of the compliments I gave to Penguin apply to Agatha. Penguin just does it a lot more like, I'm a bad guy. Agatha, I really like that she's still an antagonist and you don't know which way she's going on decision making, and that's really good writing because it's always true to her. And it's really hard to write a selfish character that you want to like but makes bad decisions. And I think the show's really great. Agatha's definitely makes the top.
Coy, I was going to say, if this really is, because we've said that this is a continuation of WandaVision, more or less, it's just its own story. Technically, it started really strong and it ended really strong.
If we're seeing that as
Agavision.
Yeah, then that show, Wandagatha, is exceptional.
Well, there you go on that one. That's a solid pick by me. All right, so the other thank you. The other one I wanted to tell you before we get into, because now it's Coy's pick. So what we haven't discussed yet, gentlemen, is that it's only you guys versus Roka this week. Because Tuesday and Wednesday we didn't have. Wednesday on Christmas I put up the Avengers reaction that Sam and I watched. Yesterday I didn't have anything, but on Monday Roka came in strong, guys, at 102. So, and you guys currently are at 33, so not too bad. Okay. So we get a shot to do it again. All right. So, Coy, you're up, my friend. Are you going with a stink bomb, or are you going to go with something else? That's good.
I like Winston's idea of the shit sandwich. So I was very favorable at the top. I'm gonna go with, I just want to have the worst one of the year. I just want to take claim. I'm gonna take Madame Web.
Damn Web.
The hell is she? She hit.
I don't know how that came out, guys. It's still a fever dream. It's still something. Even looking at this image right here, even when I'm looking at this, I'm having like PTSD flashbacks. I give everything a chance. People don't like how positive I am. People like to be mad that I love things. And this one, I couldn't even defend with all of my, like, I'm looking for things in my heart. It's the only premiere I've went to where I like considered leaving. It's the only time, like, because you're with the creators and you don't want to disrespect them, but there's also a level of like, how do I, in good conscience, like, talk about this in a way that isn't insulting? Like, there are absolutely decisions made from top to bottom that just did not serve this film. I don't know the director's other work. I hope it's great. I hope that she makes wonderful art otherwise, but whatever ADR nightmare that turned this movie into what it was, it is a hodgepodge of 100 scripts smashed into one. There was also so much potential in the ideas, like, that are sprinkled occasionally throughout. Like, there is somewhere a cool idea of having a Final Destination, clairvoyant Madame Web movie, but it's not what we got. And it's certainly, like, I don't know. I also defended it for a year of like hope. I really held out that it'd be good, and then when it wasn't, it hurt me.
This one fought inside of the same realm as Morbius or whatever it is. Mobius. What the hell is that movie called?
Morbius. Yeah,
Morbius. So it fit into that area, and it's just like, I like Dakota Johnson, but there's only so much that she could do. They had no idea what they were doing in this movie. They reshot a ton of different things. They decided to reference Peter Parker, but not really Ben. All this, it was complete nonsense. It's
her superpower was crashing cars.
I know, it was bad.
That was the only offense she had. She kept crashing cars.
And it might have been one of the worst villains in the history of comic book movies. That guy was so bad. And I don't know if the actor is bad, but he was directed terribly. It was so bad. It was so bad. And and I think Roxy said this, and I agree 100%. Who thinks that Sydney Sweeney looks like a nerd? Who thinks? I mean, I don't care how you dress her up. It doesn't work. Elizabeth Merced, that's her name, yeah.
Who gets redemption next year?
I think she was the best thing in the whole movie. She didn't have a ton to do, but I think she was the best thing in the whole movie, and I think it shows her star power overall. And she had more to do, as you said, in Alien Romulus, and then she's in Superman, isn't she?
Yeah, she's Hawkgirl.
Right. So, yeah, this movie stinks. Winston?
Yeah, since I still haven't had a chance to see it, I tried to watch it on the plane, but I couldn't get it downloaded to my phone before I left. So I started watching Carry On.
You turned it on the plane, and they escorted you out off the runway.
I started watching Carry On though. Carry On's pretty good, y'all. Yeah. But I instead am going to focus on something ridiculous that I'm sure we didn't talk about this story. But something ridiculous that came out over the last couple of days, and that's the Sony Pictures CEO, Tony Vinciquerra, saying Kraven the Hunter is probably the worst launch that we had in the 8 years of the studio.
He blamed it on the critics.
I still don't understand because the film is not a bad film. Let's touch on Madam Web for a moment. Madam Web underperformed in theaters because the press just crucified it. It was not a bad film, and it did really great on Netflix. For some reason, the press decided that they didn't want to make these films out of Kraven and Madam Web, and the critics just destroyed them.
So
they also...
Yeah, sorry, but I saw that quote yesterday because Mike Vogel posted it out, right? And then I looked at that guy, Tony, whatever his name is. He's a 70-year-old man, right? He's 70 years old. He's a 70-year-old executive that was like, oh, the movie was fine. I don't know what they was talking about. It was good. Goda's up there doing a thing. It's a comic book movie. Who cares? Throw it out. It's perfect. And it's like, no, it's not, Tony. You're 70 years old. You don't know what's working with comic book movies, guy. Come on. It was not the critics. The movie was a fart on a bagel.
It was a bad movie,
yeah.
and it is. I take y'all for that. I mean, we can, if we want to go ahead and segue into my next one with Kraven, because we might as well just put these this double meat crap sandwich together. You have the situation where you essentially took what is an incredibly fascinating character in Kraven, for example. But because you don't have it within the context of what a villain is supposed to do, it falls flat on its face. And at the same time, you end up bastardizing two other characters in Chameleon and Rhino. At least Chameleon seems somewhat interesting in there, but Rhino ends up being a complete waste of time throughout that film, and it doesn't make sense. And that's the thing. It's not to say that, for example, the Joker or Lex Luthor can't stand on their own. But in a lot of cases, the reason why they work is because of what they are as the typical antagonist to the protagonist.
Yeah.
For us to really get Kraven, for example, and to really not have anything to anchor him to in that regard, his story by itself, especially because they decided to change things as they wanted to, did not fit within the same realm of like trying to pit him against Spider-Man, who's just trying to like figure out how to be a teenage superhero or a young adult superhero, and this dude is crazy. Like it just did not work. It really did not work. It was horrible. I hope
it did well on Netflix. So let's.
Calypso is a lawyer.
All right,
this is the stupidest thing ever.
Well,
I like. Not only is the Rhino not a bumbling, guy that got tricked into being trapped in a rhino suit, he's like a scientist nerd, and Calypso's a lawyer. I can have some wiggle room and suspension of disbelief, but if the characters are just not the characters at all, then that's not the movie.
All right, so from one shit piece to the next, what do you got, Winston? The next one?
Oh, my next one was Kraven. That was why I just stumbled into that. I just was like, because these are two crap peas in a pod. They're twins.
Okay,
they're fraternal twins.
So we're staying on this, and as Coy was mentioning in there with Kraven, and then I was that's one. This is the one I dodged because of my sickness. So I'm gonna I'll go. I'm probably gonna do a reaction with Sam. I don't know why I'm gonna put that poor woman through that, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
You're a great friend.
Yeah. Well, I'm giving her all these MCU movies. She can take one shit sandwich. So we'll watch that because everything she's been watching has been good. So I want to get one where she's just like, what the hell was that? So we'll watch that because I hadn't seen it either. So okay, so that was yours then, Kraven.
Yep.
All right. So thank you. We can get away from that as fast as possible. So one that I'll go. Let's go with disappointing. Joker. Folly Ado. This was one of my most anticipated movies. I loved the first one. I know Coy's going to be on the opposite side here, but this, I am one of those people who feels that they completely destroyed the first movie by the ending of the second one. Coy's on the opposite page on that one, but I think that the movie just even Joaquin Phoenix. That was not good. Did you see that footage of him did you see that, Coy, on the footage of him talking to Lady Gaga? He's got some. They did a lip reading to it, like an actual thing, and there was a woman who reads the lips, and she said leans over to Lady Gaga, goes, that was not good, and she goes, stop it, it was good. He goes, no, it was not. It was not good. He didn't even think it was good, and he's right. Wow. It's a bad movie. And it's I hate the ending. I mean, I really hate the ending of this movie, and it is not like atrocious like we're talking about. You can tell there's some well-made things, and there's the musical aspects of it is not what hurt this movie at all. It's just kind of a mess, and I think that Todd Phillips' ego might have gotten in the way of this one. But what do you think, Winston?
It feels like kind of similar to what we have heard. This idea that it was like, Tarantino was like, he's just sticking it to the comic book geeks. He's like, I'm the Joker. And I'm just like, ain't nobody asked for that, bro. Like,
comic book geeks are the ones who put money in his pocket in the first time.
That's what I'm saying. You got to be an executive producer on this and be a part of $1 billion thing, which I'm sure you got back end points because of comic book geeks. So this just feels like offensive to just kind of slap them in the face for that. A lot of things did not work. There was a lot of promise when you add an actress as talented and a singer as talented as Lady Gaga. Yeah. When you bring in a character like Harley Quinn that has become beloved over the last decade and some change, there was a lot there that could have happened. And especially if you had built off of the true momentum you had from the first one, but you didn't. You kind of just took a deuce on it. And, so it's really Joker folly a deuce. That's what that was.
As Roxy hates when I say it, folly a doo-doo. Coy, you love this movie. Why?
The Crow's the top of my bottom. This is the top of my meh. Like if there's the 3 categories of the year of great, of meh, of not so good. This is the top of my meh. I love the ending. I think and I know I'm in the minority of loving that, but I personally think the first one is insulting to the Joker. So I love that the second one is an insult to the people that thought the first wasn't. If we can judge Craven for having Calypso as a lawyer, then having a Joker that is not a clown prince of crime or, is 40 years older than Batman is the same level of disrespect to the character. So I left the first film enjoying the fact that it was such a bold swing as an Elseworld. I then enjoyed the second one doing that aggressively at an audience for the ending. I thought the movie was kind of boring. I thought the top and the middle were meandering and it didn't really have a lot going on, but the ending itself, I personally, I like a nice FU when delivered artfully. So I got a nice dark joke out of it. Like Anthony Jeselnik, the movie. I like when a joke just makes me go, oh, and I got that.
All right, fair enough. And you were staying on you here, Coy, and from the Joker to where?
Let's see. What else was
I can throw one on there for you. And
throw one and I'll just talk about it.
Okay. Echo.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed. So this is probably on the lower of my favorable. It's not making the Rushmore, but I thought it was a really beautiful show. I really enjoyed the pacing. I thought of Marvel shows, this is some of the best supporting cast outside of the Netflix shows. Like I feel like the Netflix shows did an exceptional job world building. Like you care about Foggy and Karen, you care about Micro in Punisher, you care about a lot of the people in Luke Cage's world outside of him, to the point where like once Mahershala Ali goes away, Luke Cage dips and it's not even the lead. Like the Netflix shows did a really good job building out their outside characters, but I do struggle in some of the MCU Disney Plus shows caring about anyone except our leads that much. I thought Echo built out its world really well. I cared about the town. I cared about its townspeople. I cared about the lore of what was going on. And I thought it did a good job making Kingpin, that's how much I like Penguin, making Kingpin the closer approximation of his Netflix version, pivoting off of the Hawkeye one. Like this felt like it was going in the Netflix direction in a nice way. So It felt like kind of a bridge show between the Disney Plus and the direction that we're going with Born Again. So I got a lot out of this one. It's not something I'll watch often. It's not something I would say like is must watch, but I'd say it's a very good installment in the saga of the MCU.
Yeah, this one let me down a little bit, I'll tell you, because it was the trailer came out and I was excited by the trailer because of what you just said, Coy. They set it up and go, look, this is we're gonna be able to do stuff like this now, and it essentially is what the tone that they're gonna be taking with Daredevil, right? They wanted to show you, hey, that Kingpin that you saw in Hawkeye, he's going away. We're bringing back that guy that you guys liked, and D'Onofrio doing it again, and they set up that trailer, which was like, holy shit. But the first 3 or 4 episodes, I didn't even finish the series. I just got bored with it. And it was like, I got to a place where I was like, okay, I thought she was good, but I just didn't care enough anymore. And I'm like, oh, all right, well, what's happening? Oh, this relationship between them. And then by the time I got, and they released it all at the same time, and I still didn't finish it. And I was like, I just don't care. If I don't care, then you're not doing something right. And for me, right. And it wasn't that it was bad. I was just bored. But I don't know. How'd you feel about it, Winston?
It was fine. It was fine at best. It was better than a lot of the worst, but it wasn't very good in my opinion. Not when you have standouts like Creature Commandos, X-Men 97, the Penguin, the Boy. Like it could not keep pace with the shows that were doing it right. Is really my takeaway from Echo. Again, I thought that oh my goodness, what's the actress's name? Is it a Linqua?
I'll tell you in a second.
Okay, but the main actress, I thought that she was stellar. She always has been the whole time, but that's not enough to carry us.
Aliqua Cox.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So I was in the realm. Aliqua Cox. She's fantastic, but it wasn't enough to carry us through, and it wasn't enough from Vincent, even though he brought it like he always does. It wasn't enough for me to be like, yep, cool, awesome. That's all I need. Right. So yeah.
It also had the Marvel Disney Plus problem that Agatha did not, where I didn't love the final episode. Like it didn't feel solid enough for how much I enjoyed the rest. So I do think, I hope as they restructure, like focusing on the third act in the format of the shows, because I do think Echo kind of ended soft, which left you like, overall. But there's a lot of positives in there, but it's definitely not in that top tier.
All right, Winston, I'm going to give you a good one.
Okay.
Which we didn't really talk about.
Yeah, no, Invincible, that was an excellent choice. I think the only thing that pulls Invincible down for me is that it took us how many years to get season 2, but and it felt like it was then short on top of that. But if you're actually talking about the core of what we got, the fights were incredible. You did a really good job of keeping to the things that are going on in the comic book around this time in the show and things like that. Introduced a lot of really compelling villains that we're going to get to explore more, like Enstrom, who, obviously has now merged with the bajillion versions of himself and can, dimension hop like crazy. Like there is so much good to come out of Invincible season 2. And it was an incredible ride, but my only complaint is how long this takes. The only show that is on par with the insane amount of time to put out another season is Stranger Things. Right. Like I'm mad at Stranger Things at this point with them about to wrap it up, because I'm like, I don't even remember what the hell happened. Like that's my problem.
You know what's so funny about that is that's such an old school thing, because like Sopranos was like that. Sopranos, Lost was like that. You have to wait like so many years, 2-3 years before you. But because of the way that streaming is now,
wait a minute. No, it wasn't. Lost was a network TV show. You would start it in September, and you'd be done in April, and then it'd be back.
They had a couple of breaks in between because of the
strike. There was a strike.
There was a strike, and there was also the one season where they had cut a whole bunch of them, and they had to take a break because to take a look at when they aired. They aired at different times when it came back. Right now. There were some delays on Lost, and there were definitely delays on Sopranos for sure. But yeah, Stranger Things one of those, and Invincible, because animation, it's always tougher to do. So I always wonder why they don't have these written more in time, because they're based off these comics. So I don't know, but either way. Coy, you also you love this series?
Oh yeah, I think Invincible is great. I definitely it wasn't in top tier for me this year because of the gap and the weird pause mid-season felt like it threw off the flow for me. But season 3 we're getting much sooner and no gap, so I feel like season 3 is going to recapture the magic that season 1 felt like, where it felt so bombastic, and the kinetic pace won't have that like. But again, I'd rather have something get delayed and come out once correctly. The Batman 2. than half done. So
fair enough. All right, so that's Invincible, and then for me, I'll jump into another one, and we'll talk about a movie that I thought was gonna. I wound up liking, I guess, better than the guys did, but Venom: The Last Dance to me, not great, but compared to the second movie, I thought it was much better as a buddy cop movie. Really, between the two of them, there's some funny moments. It's on par with what the other movies are for sure, and it was the sad thing to say. It was probably the most successful movie that Sony had in this universe this year. I mean, it looked like damn Avatar compared to the other two movies that they put out. But look, there is I will be completely honest, and for some reason, in the same way that I laughed at those stupid goats in Thor: Love and Thunder, I laughed every time. I am Venom. I love it. It's so stupid, and it gets me every time. I think Tom Hardy has so much fun playing Venom. He has so much fun playing, Eddie, and this back and forth between them. I still think Juno Temple was completely wasted in that movie. There's some Reese Ifans was actually pretty damn good in it, but for the most part, it's a very forgettable movie. But it going back to the steak metaphor, it is steak after you get served, 2 piles of turds from Craven and Lady Madam Face. So go ahead, Coy.
I liked Venom 3. I do think it's I liked it more than Venom 2, not as much as Venom 1. I do think its strengths are really high, but I do think the amount of subplots really messed it up. Like you said, Juno Temple, I don't really. She's Juno Temple. There's so much more you could have done with that character and that casting choice. And even Chiwetel Ejiofor. Chiwetel Ejiofor is such an incredible actor, and he was
wasted.
7. There was nothing. No. I don't know.
That could have been anybody.
Could have been anybody. And that character in the comics is somebody, and they didn't even allude to his arc. And so the stuff between Venom and Eddie, I loved, and the stuff with the family, I did enjoy. The rest of the movie, it could have just been a road trip movie with Eddie and that family.
Easily,
you could get rid of the entire subplot of Juno Temple and the military guy. It felt bloated, and it was 90 minutes, and that's not acceptable. And then Null, man, the video game cutscene, PS2 Null hurt.
Oof. Yeah, yuck. What about Winston? Did you like this movie at all, or did you even wind up seeing it?
I thought I enjoyed Act 3, but I hated everything else about this movie, man. I enjoyed also because I think he's having this incredible resurgence. I
am Venom.
That's always funny. Oh my God, what's his name? He plays Danny in Ted Lasso. Ball His Life. He was playing the bartender in this.
Okay.
Danny Rojas. Yeah, what's his name?
He was. Yeah. Fernandez, I want to say, which he was everywhere, bro. He was in Craven, if I remember correctly. Or no, he was in Sonic. He's in Sonic.
He's in Sonic.
He's in Sonic.
Home. Yeah, he's in Sonic.
He's in No Way Home, which is obviously then paired to Venom. He's just been all over the place, and every time he shows up, I just have a big grin on my face because of how funny he is. But overall, not a great film. Had enjoyable moments for sure. Nice close, but the fact that I enjoyed the first 2 Venoms more than this one speaks volumes in my opinion.
Totally fair. All right, so who was and that was mine, right?
Yep.
All right, so Coy, let's see. There's only a few left on, and I don't even know if any of us have ever even seen this one, but I put it up there because no one really talks. The finale, Superman Lois had their last run. Did anybody? None of us watched it, huh?
I hear it's great. I want to at some point, but I missed the first season, so it's kind of like you were talking about. You missed the window. I heard how great it was season 2, and I was like, I don't have time to watch a whole season of TV. But I'd love to. If I get a cold or a flu in the next 2 years, I'll be watching Superman and Lois.
I hear it's supposed to be great. So that one can't give too much love on because we haven't really seen it. But the next one, Coy, I guess I could give you here. Did you watch? And here's another one maybe you didn't watch. Did you watch Watchmen Chapter 1?
I did.
I'm watching them both as one because that's how I read the graphic novel. I want to see it as a whole kabang. So I'm actually watching this in the next couple of weeks. I have not seen it yet.
It's good. I mean, but it's a direct retelling of the graphic novel closer than what you got at the live action, just as a heads up. But to that point, it's not to rehear that story isn't a bad thing. They did a good job with it. There's nothing new. I'll put it to you that way. There's nothing new. It's just the same story,
All right, and then Coy, this one you can talk about because you've been shitting on it the whole show.
Oh, I was so disappointed. Okay, so my reason for the vitriol is the difference between season 1 and season 2 of What If to me was crazy. I did not like season 1 of What If, and then I really liked season 2. So I was really hoping that the trajectory of the show would be like, and I like this trilogy, like it stuck the landing. I really care about this world. And then it has really interesting ideas in the finale, which I know hasn't aired yet. I'm not going to give anything away. It has some really interesting ideas, but they're so overshadowed by everything else that happens. And it's so messy that the whole show ends and you're like, and that's the worst feeling. I wish I felt like, I feel way more passionately against Madam Web than I feel anything towards What If. And that's worse. Like, I'd rather at least feel something towards the art. So I don't know. I just feel like the idea of What If is so open-ended to write very simple stories out of it when you could go insane. I think the Howard the Duck episode is absolutely bananas, but like, that's the only one that really feels like a what if. Everything else is like such a like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Episode 3, the buddy cop thing is fun, but if you've got infinite array of concepts and characters and you feel like you're trapped in this little box, it just feels like a really short-sighted use of the concept of what if.
Have you started this yet, Winston?
I have.
Okay.
I have only seen kind of the mecha colossal battle with the you know, the Hulk and all of the gamma monsters, and fine. Didn't blow my socks off. I started the second episode with Agatha and Hollywood, and I instantly found myself bored. And so then when I had other things to do to get ready for Christmas, I was like, I'll come back to this, I guess. So that I don't love to hear that it doesn't get better. It actually seems like it gets a little worse in your opinion, Coy. And I kind of trust you on stuff like this. So.
I think 2 and 3 are the best episodes of 3 and 4. The one with Red Guardian and Winter Soldier, I think, is the most fun, and I think the one preceding that is the one I like the most because it was Agatha and Eternals, and I love Eternals, and no one ever gives Eternals their due. So like, it was more of a personal victory, so I could see where people didn't like that episode, but I did. But those are the only 2 in the season I thought were like what if can be. The Howard the Duck one's the weirdest, but it even then, like, it misuses a lot of characters while being a cool concept. And the concept itself is so weird that I liked it for its weirdness more than the actual idea of what it was.
It sounds great. All right, so Winston, let's we're gonna end with you here, man, because I think we got one left.
Okay, then I'll do a quick duel
Yes.
conversation. It was the 2 that I texted you guys about. I'll give you a movie and a TV show that if we didn't talk about it here on the show throughout the year, but I highly recommend you check both of them out. That's both My Adventures with Superman season 2 and Ultraman Rising over on Netflix. If you want to know more about Ultraman Rising, I don't need to dive too much deeper into that. You can see the interviews that I did here on the channel and stuff like that. But you want to talk about a story that just pulls at your heartstrings, talks about family, responsibility, all that. Ultraman Rising has it in spades. Now, as far as my Adventures with Superman, continuing from that first season, giving us a really compelling storyline. I love the anime takes on all of the characters and whatnot. And then you get an amazing in season 2 story, and I love the Kara stories where all of a sudden you got to figure how Kara ends up getting introduced. She sometimes gets introduced as just really naive. She sometimes gets introduced as like a villain. She sometimes gets introduced, as somebody that was already there to save Clark, and because she's a teenager and all that kind of stuff. Watching this and how they decide to go with Kara in this particular season, I thought was a masterclass. Gave us a great chance to get into one of Superman's biggest villains by the time we get to the end of the season. I cannot speak highly enough about My Adventures with Superman. I think it's very much being slept on.
All right.
I want to co-sign that, especially with how the way they're characterizing Superman is so how I see Superman in the comic, but it's still so unique to the show. Like it is Superman, but also there's a comic book of My Adventures with Superman that ties into the show. And it's so specific that I can hear the characters' voices reading the comic, which means it's successful. Like if I'm reading a comic that feels like Superman, it's going to feel like Superman. But the show feels so much like Superman while also being unique that when I read the book, I'm like, man, this is so that world. I definitely think My Adventures with Superman should get more love. It's really good.
Well, there you go. 2024 wrapped up here on Capes and Cowls, are the ones that we liked, didn't like, whatever. Man, there's a bunch of them out there. This was, I guess, one of the more disappointing years in comic book movies TV, but there were a couple of gems out there. also. All right, so we're going to get into all your questions because right now, guys, you're trying to catch Roca at 102. You're at 47 going into the question round. Not too bad. So we start with a few questions off the bat, but before we do, real quick, Winston, where can they find you? What you got going on right now?
Yeah, you can find me at the Swaggy Blurred on all platforms, but especially here on YouTube now that I'm back from the holiday, provided my computer doesn't take a giant dump before the new one gets here. I got to do my best TV of the year, my best movies of the year, as well as another Blurred breakdown to close the year out. I've also got, and we're doing a end of the world special on Blurs in the Hood, man. We really only do this the show now maybe once a quarter, and that's going to be kind of how we close things out, as one kind of recap on 2024, everything from Cat Williams to the election to the Eras Tour, whatever went down in 2024 that was wild. Jay and I are going to break it down and act a fool. So come and join us on Sunday for that.
You can find me over at my page at Coy Jandro on this very platform. I am going to hit my goal of more than 30 videos in the 31 days of December. I've been doing a video a day with all the What If coverage. I've got Creature Commandos coming out. I got movies coming out, the big movies that have been released, and I'm going to be doing my favorite movies of the year as a two-parter. Since the year 2018, I've done that number of movies, like 18 favorites 2018. This year is 24 favorites of 2024 in two parts.
God.
So 4 to 11, and then my top 10 before all the people complaining why you're doing so many. There's a top 10 separate. So a top 10 video and then 11 through 24, as well as my 5 favorite albums of the year and my favorite 10 comics of the year, like comic runs. So comics, music, and movies dropping before the 31st, and that's what I'm doing the rest of the day.
Well, there you go. So thank you guys for checking out and supporting both Coy and Winston. Make sure you do that. All right, and now we're getting into it, starting out right away. 48 questions deep as we're getting into it, and we start with the first one, and that is Gopal, who says, I can't make the live today, but here's some support. Thank you, Gopal. Always very kind. Armada, also the Squid Game reactions, are they possible? Season 2 dropped. Well, I'd have to watch season 1 first. You
haven't seen season 1?
Nope. I have not.
Bro, you would love that show.
That's what they say.
Wow. Yeah, you got to get on those reactions. You probably do gangbuster numbers.
I know. I got to maybe go check out and maybe start watching the first. Maybe just how many episodes are there total of both season 1 and season 2? Because maybe just crack out all. I think
it caps at about 8.
Yeah,
let me double check for you.
Yeah, double check. And Miguel Zan, I'm assuming that we're only getting 3 DC films in 2026: Sergeant Rock, Clayface, and Supergirl. No more Batman 2. Can Sergeant Rock and Clayface be prestige films? The reason why I think they're hopeful is because they're going to have lower budgets. Now, Supergirl will probably have a higher budget, but I think Clayface and Sergeant Rock will probably have lower budgets. Coy, what do you think?
I mean, Supergirl is, as you guys know, I rave about it as much as I can. That comic is perfect, and I think the cast and the director they've assembled so far is amazing. I think if the Sergeant Rock thing works out as the rumors are coming out, then that director is a genius and will absolutely bring something special. So I think 2026, I mean, next year's the year of Superman, but then everything just ramps up even more. So I'm excited.
Kristian, it's only 16 episodes overall, 9 for the first season, 7 for the second.
Okay, so maybe Armada. So excited for Nolan's Odyssey. I might have to be 2 movies from how big the movie story is. Hope you all had a great holiday. I mean, I'm pretty excited for that one too. I want to see what Nolan does in that era.
I just can't believe the number of people that had never at least heard of the Odyssey. That blew my mind.
You go to school?
That's what I was saying, but maybe I'm elitist. Apparently, I don't know.
I mean, 2020 shaped up to be insane. I mean, that announcement alone, but we've got so much that year.
Is it 2026? Is that when it comes out?
I think so. I think they dated it.
Oh, I can't wait.
I could be wrong, but either way, I can't wait for that.
Sign me up for that, man. I mean, Achilles and come on. All right, let's see. Armada did that one already. You got it with
July 17, 2026.
Amazing. All right, so Mike Joyce, 5.5 years is too long between movies. At this point, they should just fold the Batman into the DCU. The DCU matters more than the Reevesverse. Coy agrees 100%. Right?
Oh, that's exactly. You're like reading my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm kind of with Mike on that one too, but we don't have to rehash it again. But yeah, I agree. But we'll see what pans out. Crystal DW fan, let's beat Roca. Oh, they're trying to beat Roca. It's usually always trying to beat Roca. I'm sure that's his PLD's pseudonym. Ed at the movies. Kristian, have you seen the Gary Busey Pet Judge? I sure have. I discovered it over Christmas. Only 6 episodes, but all hilarious. It's my mission to crowdfund season 2. # beat Roka. Have you guys ever seen Gary Busey Pet Judge? It's almost like, the People's Court that they used to do.
Yeah.
Well, it was essentially that, but he was like doing it with like there was like the people that had probably pets and everything. It was scripted though, so that's what I didn't like about it. I wanted it to be like him actually being like a real judge, but who the hell's going to give that guy a chance to actually put people in jail?
An untethered Busey.
Yeah, but it's fun for an episode or two, but then you look at I get it. Okay. Josh Needle, the evidence keeps piling up towards Pattinson joining the DCU. Reeves is producing DCU projects like Clayface and Arkham. Now Batman 2 won't start filming until after they see how Superman does. That's a point we didn't hit, though. That's a point we didn't hit. Superman crushes, and then they go, okay, let's get Batman. Let's just put Robert Pattinson in this damn thing. Is that a possibility?
I still think they want twice the opportunity. I mean, Batman has so many comic titles. I personally, but I'm in the space. Like, I don't see why not to have 2. I don't know. I don't know how much Superman affects Batman.
We will see. Let's see. Next one. My favorite is as I'm starting the show, is going through people screaming no sound. Look at the chat. What the hell do you think we did? I'm going back. I'm back in time now. Stupid. It's like, let's see. Next one. Hold on. There's a lot. You guys, again, thank you guys for joining here today and doing that. I really appreciate everybody who's contributed so far today on the stream. And thank you to Luke over at Galaxy Geeks. So every time there's a sound problem, he has to go in and edit the damn thing in the beginning of it. Kristian Medard, I like Nosferatu. I didn't know Bill was in that role. I couldn't tell it was him. Great acting from all the cast. Craven didn't do Aaron right. Yeah, and Aaron Taylor Johnson was great in Nosferatu. That'll probably be in my top 10. That movie. Did you see it yet, Coy?
Yeah, I've seen it twice.
Yeah.
Definitely top. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson. I think he's even good in Craven when they let him be. But yeah, I thought the movie was exceptional. And I also think he's such a movie star. I hope that he gets something that feels like him.
Yeah. Did you see that one yet, Winston? Not yet, right? Okay. Dennis Hoffman can't join live, but happy holidays. Appreciate you folks. Thank you, Dennis. Really appreciate that.
I also didn't realize it was Bill Skarsgård either. The credits rolled, and that's the first time.
Oh, really? I knew.
Yeah,
I knew he was in it going into it, but I don't know. But he's pretty unrecognizable in the role for sure.
That makes The Crow even harder to swallow because
don't even mention that movie. Crystal DW fan, technology can be the worst sometimes. # beat Roka. Yeah, I don't know. This morning, like normally when the sound, like I know it's like, oh yeah, I didn't hit the button on the thing, but I don't know what that was today. I don't know. Not sure. Marcus M. Bring the Battinson to the DCU. There's more and more cry for that, it seems like. PLD projects. If people super chat to beat Roka, the audio issues will go away from now on.
That's pretty fair. You could throw in this was my favorite superhero movie for like $1 and then # beat Roka. That would be hilarious.
It's so funny.
Well, yeah, I'm curious what your votes are. I mean, that's a good way for us to know.
Let's see. PLD is him and Roka have this ongoing war now, which is hilarious. Roka thinks it's unfair that PLD is taking from the pool to put it back into the pool. Cupcake Bliss. I am willing to wait for Batman Part 2. I love the first movie in the Penguin series, but I agree that WB needs to provide a better excuse to why it's being delayed a second time. I mean, that's, he said the script isn't exactly where he wants it. That's a problem. He's had like 4 years to do it.
I think this is a great example of not setting release dates. I think you just say, hey, the Batman will return, and you get it when you get it. I don't think they should date stuff anymore. I think studios should reserve dates, but I don't think the public should know about them.
Well, you got to give it some time to let people know.
Announce it with a trailer the year it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. Tom Hanks. What up, Tom? Where's Derek Johnson? Did he go bankrupt? I don't know where Derek's been. I haven't seen Derek in a while. But I hope he's doing well. We love Derek Johnson. Derek's the man. Josh Needle. Reeves made War for the Planet of the Apes in just 3 years. A far more technically advanced movie. I love the Batman, but 5 years is absurd. Him joining the DCU is the only explanation that makes sense.
That's the more we talk about it, that's got to be what's happening. And I wonder if it's some sort of way to connect it where Pattinson where he's at right now is kind of a prequel to the Batman we get in Brave and the Bold, because that's the only thing that makes logic, because they push both dates, right? Like, did they give a year for Brave and the Bold or a date?
They didn't give a date yet.
Doesn't have anything.
They just said they're pushing it a year, but they said they're pushing both of them.
No, they didn't even say there was no date set for Brave and the Bold. They just said it was.
There wasn't.
No, it's just pushed. So, who knows? Let's see. Marcus Langoni. I hear there's issues on set for Superman. You always get reports like that. There's always reports that come in. I don't know. And I know that one came from Jeff. But then Gunn said it wasn't true. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything, But who knows? Who knows? I until they see the movie. Yeah, go ahead.
I just went to Comic Book Movie to try and see about the Brave and the Bold date, and it looks like the new report coming out of there is specifically the Batman 2 delay may be to integrate Pattinson into the DCU. So everything that we're kind of speculating on, I guess, is that's kind of what's starting to be reported as well.
It would make sense. I mean, it would make sense. Look, I think the answer that James Gunn gave Josh Horowitz on that podcast that they did together was very telling. He said, "Did you consider him to be in the DCU?" If it was a clear cut, no way, like it just wouldn't have worked. They're totally different things, and that's why we set up Elseworlds. If he said that, then we're saying, "Oh," he said, "I'm always considering it. I'm considering everything." And yeah, I considered it, and it's like that means you're still considering it, and there's a possibility there. Okay, Alexis LeBlanc. Happy holidays, guys. DC might be waiting to see the reception of the DCU with Superman to keep, merge, or cancel the Reverse. I mean, I think this is all possible and all really good speculation. I think all of that is possible. Simon Section. Once, twice, 3 times I made it. I would love to hear Kristian sing Pink Cadillac as it was originally supposed to be sung by Bruce Springsteen. Pink Cadillac is one of the best. Pink Cadillac. I love it. I mean, I'm very curious how that Jeremy Allen White movie is going to be.
Same.
Yeah. Joe for show. Hope y'all had a great Christmas and a great New Year's. Batman 2 delayed. Muschietti taking other projects. Seems like Pattinson is headed to the DCU. I mean, that's one of those things where they tell, this is what I think is going to happen. Here's my prediction. And Coy, here, you know what, Coy? I'll make this easier on you. Wait, hold on. Where is it? Oh, no. Wait, I'll make this easier on Coy for this one. All right, Winston, here's what I think is going to happen in the DCU. I think that they are going to give Muschietti a different movie. I don't think they're going to fire him outright off of the DCU, but I think they're going to give him a different movie. I think they give him a completely different film, say, hey, look, go make your other movie that you want to make. Come back, we'll do something else together. Reeves is going to do our Batman, and we're gonna announce that this is part of it. I think it's inevitable at this time.
I mean, we've talked about this a lot over the last couple of weeks. If as long as you find a clean way to do it, but I am so hesitant because we have decided to make this as realistic of a Batman as possible. I just don't know how you introduce the supernatural and the superpowered and all that kind of stuff. But there's a way to do it. There is. I'm like I said, if I have that much faith in Gunn for building out this universe, then I just need to be patient. Yeah. But I don't love it. But let's see what happens. Honestly.
Hey, welcome back. No, nothing. We were talking about nothing. I swear. PLD. Happy New Year to the crew. Hope we see Batman 2 before Roca wins again.
Sheesh.
We'll see. I mean, the guys are at 52. They need 50 to tie right now with about 30 minutes to go or something like that. Okay. Next one. And this one, thank you to everybody who's been contributing today and asking questions. Spidey Sensei 72. Whatever happened with X-Men 97 and Bo DeMeo? Was it ever resolved or no? I mean, not really. Winston, go ahead. You were going to say?
No, I mean, he kind of released his whole side of the thing. Disney kind of lobbied back. Lawsuits abound. Nothing's really gone on quite yet. So we just kind of have to be patient.
He kept tweeting. He kept tweeting when he wasn't supposed to, and he lost his credits on season 2. Is what he did. So yeah, I don't know. Pete Parker 2288. Hey, Winston, are you still playing Marvel Rivals? It's so good. My main is Moon Knight and Punisher. By the way, who is Cloak and Dagger? Is that a newer comic?
Cloak and Dagger have been around. I just lost audio there, but that's
I can hear you.
Hopefully,
I'm
going to try to put this back in.
Go ahead. Why don't you? Never mind.
Been around for a while. There we go. Cloak and Dagger have been around for a while. Great characters. I love Marvel Rivals. I have been obsessed with Marvel Rivals. I think my main is probably either Hawkeye or Captain America. A lot of fun playing both of them, man. I love sniping and I love tanking. But that game is phenomenal, guys. If you feel like playing a new kind of just like shooter, it is fantastic.
Cloak and Dagger had a show a few years back that ran alongside Runaways, and Cloak and Dagger have been around since like the late 70s, early 80s. And I don't play Marvel Rivals, but I love that people are discovering Jeff the Land Shark because that character in the comics.
Dude, he's so ridiculous.
I love Jeff the Land Shark so much.
All right, Julius Wyatt. I did a double feature of Baby Girl and Nosferatu, a very horny Christmas indeed. Hated all superhero movies of 2024 except for Deadpool and Wolverine. Go Dogs. I'm about an hour into Baby Girl. It's filthy.
I saw Baby Girl and Nosferatu back to back. I had a horny Christmas.
That's what he just said.
Oh,
that's literally what the guy just said.
Literally, I feel like you just turned your brain off.
Yeah.
And you just repeated exactly what your ears actually heard.
Yeah, no,
But I lived on Christmas. Yeah. So apparently Juliet was sitting next to me and I didn't realize.
Yeah, Winston would be like, holy, I didn't know went down this route. The baby girl goes down an interesting route.
I need to see this, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Nicole Kidman, God bless. All right, let's see. Clay Titus. Do you think that they delayed Batman 2 to make more TV shows and build the universe more? That's an interesting question. Like, if I think that it goes into what a few of those comments said before, right? It's like, let's see how Superman does. Let's start talking about this. Let's see if we can find a way, if we're going to do Penguin season 2, that we can incorporate it into the DCU, and that way make sure that the Batman 2 is part of the DCU. Is that something you think? Coy, I know that you. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, I basically think that it is. Matt Reeves is clearly playing in the DCU with James Gunn's dynamic duo, so I don't think there's any bad blood, and that's like I think it's really important we look at what has actually been said to elaborate our theories, because like the rest is conjecture, so we should at least have informed conjecture. So clearly, there's no bad blood. Recently, Matt Reeves in an interview with Zoe Kravitz said the script was done. They're filming next year. I could see it being like, we just want to make sure it's right. Like, if we're filming next year, do you really want a movie to come out? We don't know if it's filming in January or if it's filming in November next year, but
right.
I wouldn't want a movie, if they're not shooting until October, say, to come out a year after they shoot it. I would much rather it be buttoned up how they want. So we know everything's good as far as the team because they're working together on something else. And we know that the last one spawned one of the best shows ever made in the comic book genre. I don't see a logical reason why you'd get rid of that universe. So I personally don't think it makes sense to blend with DCU. If it happens, I trust in the storytellers because I think that Matt Reeves is a genius. So I'm not saying it'd be a bad thing. I'm just saying I'd prefer to have two Batman, one grounded, one fantastical. So I don't think it's going anywhere, but I don't know much more than you guys do.
I think, Coy, it's less about that in the overall run business-wise at this point, because you're pushing it so far that you're not going to get, if you had like the Batman Part 2 today, this year or next year or even 2026, and then right after that, it's like, I don't know. There's too much before you get another Batman movie. But we I don't want to rehash it again. Let's get to, this is hilarious because on Monday, Paul Denuzio, our PLD, Roca was not a fan of the fact that PLD chimed in. He goes, and Roca says to him, he went to Old Outlaw, he goes, don't make me go out there and take your wife out or something like that, or whatever he said. So PLD's wife chimes in with a super chat and says, this one is to let Roca know I also stand against him. # go Coy and Winston. That's the best. DNV 900. What if was a huge miss with a waste of potential. Feige saying there were 30 pitched ideas and the 10 best were chosen for season 1 with Party Thor is baffling. Now the Howard the Duck episode, like really? I don't really think they give a shit about that series, by the way. I think they let the animators and whoever just let them do whatever they want because they clearly didn't care about it because after season 1, you thought it was going to be incorporated into the overall MCU and it wasn't.
And it's so much potential. I wouldn't dog on it so much if it wasn't just such a good concept to do stuff that's bold, and they're just not.
Yeah.
God, that's making me so sad that I gotta slog through what sounds like not fun.
Let's see. PLD. Hey, Winston, the Crow 94 reaction?
Yeah, I'm gonna that's so part of what I can replug the channel real quick. Next year's going to be a lot more structured, and part of that is going to include reaction videos. I just wanted to wait till I got a new computer so I could actually do that, but B, so that like I can have the time to set everything up properly. But that is going to be one of the ones I'm going to do. Is I've never seen the original Crow, so I will do a reaction to that.
All right, Kim coming back in. Oh, and Kristian, tell Rook I want him to know it was me. Especially gets pushed. If it gets pushed past 102, I absolutely will. All right, let's see. Next one is Dan V 900. With What If, you mean to tell me no one pitched What If the other half was snapped? The easiest layup ever, and you never do it? Just not well thought out. Yeah, a lot of people turning on What If. I haven't even seen it, so I can't really say. But Pete Parker 2288, Kristian, the voice actor who does Indy, plays Joel in the Last of Us games. His name's Troy Baker, and he's a huge actor in the game industry. The game is so good. Yeah, the Indy game. Either one of you guys playing that yet? No, right?
I hear it's amazing.
I like it a lot.
But Troy, I'm very familiar with Troy's work. Troy is fantastic, so I guarantee he's probably bringing the fire.
Keith Addison, what aspects of the new DCU are you interested in the most? For me personally, Superman cast, is that something else?
I think he's saying the thing he's most interested in is the cast of Superman, the visuals of Supergirl.
Oh, okay. Authority, action, Brave and the Bold style, Lanterns and other shows, ambition and writing. I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I mean that makes good sense, right?
I think the independence of each film from having to be one shared universe necessarily, like the versatility, I think is what I'm most excited about. Is like we get to hire the idea of like Flanagan Clayface is so brave and bold. So I think I'm excited for films to feel like individual movies again, not like teasers for the next episode of a show.
Andreas IB, I'm with Coy. I would wait for this Batman universe. I mean, look, I think there's going to have a lot of those. I think you get mixed opinions right now. It's going to be it's a lose-lose no matter what. It really is. PLD, with Hercules being mentioned in Loki season 2 deleted scenes, will we get him somewhere? # beat Roka. I don't know. You think we're going to get Hercules at all? Or are they going to leave him alone, Coy?
I think Hercules might show up in Secret Wars. What I would do is I would have Doomsday, or whatever they're calling that Doom one. I would have those two Avengers movies be all of the supporting characters we didn't get to see, kind of in like a grab bag, and then soft reboot after Secret Wars. But I would have them get their little moment. Marvel's really good at having like a big pop, right? Like wrestling pops. I feel like that's how we're going to get a lot of these characters.
All right, Chandler Hospian. Who would you be less worried about? Would you be less worried about the delay if it meant that they shoot the Batman 2 and 3 back to back with 2027 and a 2028 release? I mean, yeah, that would be a way to say, like, look, we've got the whole thing mapped out. Now, whether or not they do that or not, but that's a good question, though. If they're going to do a trilogy, then what does that mean if they don't do that? When does the next one come out after that?
I do think like having maybe 2027, 2029 and have a show in between, but I love the idea of Lord of the Rings in it, right? Like if they could do multiple things and have it mapped out, great. Or maybe shoot some of whatever the next show is using Pattinson's schedule while he's filming the Batman. I think there's a lot of positives in a potential delay, but again, I'm team, I'd rather wait and have it be Matt Reeves because I love that one.
Dan V 900, Reeves saying that he's still working on the Batman Part 2 script is very concerning. He has had years. Lauren LaFranc was the showrunner and wrote most of The Penguin. Reeves didn't write it and gets the credit.
I mean, I think that a lot of that has to just do with the fact that everything that we've said and even the reports that are coming out, that it sounds like they're probably merging them somehow. So I think probably he was closing in on the end of his script, and then lo and behold, here we are. So I think that that's really what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's going to be a lot more to that story as we keep talking about it. There's more that's going to come to light. Chandler follows it up and says, also, will Elseworlds projects have a different intro than DCU to differentiate? Perhaps Earth numbers at the intro of shows/movies? You're the best. Thank you.
Huh. I don't hate that idea. It's a good way to kind of keep it, somewhere on Earth 3. Just to keep us, help us understand exactly what we're looking at.
Yeah, it's early days. That's a fun idea.
Okay, let's see. Next one here, and this is from Django Blackfire. If pot isn't legal in my state, can I order via? Please get Dan Merle on a live show. I want to super chat him questions about Star Trek and movie box office. Dan's supposed to be on soon, so we'll get him on soon. I would look into that via thing. They should tell you on their website whether or not they'll ship to you, for sure. Cooley, hi. Happy holidays, fam. What's up, man? I like how we get 3 Sonic movies in the span of 4 years, and we can't get one Batman sequel out of 5.5 years. My daughter will be in college when it comes out. It's crazy. Be easy. Yeah, there's more to it. There's more to it than I don't disagree with Coy when you want to put in the effort and make sure you get the best movie, but there's more to that when you're supposed to have a movie that comes out in 2025, and then it gets pushed to 2026, then it gets pushed to 2027. There's more to it. There is. Armada. Sony will have a new CEO next January. Good sign? Depends on who the CEO is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious with Beyond the Spider-Verse and with the things that are kind of like on the cusp. Like, do we get a new Spider-Man universe maybe using Miles or something? I'd love to see a new launch out of Sony.
Albert Glowacki. The franchise was great. I watched like a lot of it when I interviewed Billy Magnuson. And I really enjoyed it. I didn't go back to it though. Did you guys check it out?
No, I need to go back. I saw the first 2 episodes and I just never got a chance to swing back to it. But I've heard all good things.
And you liked the first 2 also, didn't you?
I did. I really liked them.
I feel if that show would have come out in 2019, it would have done a lot better.
Probably.
Yeah.
And it got buried. It did not get advertised from Warner the way that it should have.
No, it didn't. Killer Cam, there's zombies. How y'all surviving? If I could get to Hawaii where there's no zombies, I would just live on a beach.
Go to a Costco. Hope for the best.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know. Keep throwing neighbors in front of the zombies and running away.
Real nice. I'm hanging out with you.
Yeah, I know where not to go now.
Hey man, remember the whole thing is that you just got to be faster than the person, the other person, and I'm fat, so I'm gonna throw somebody else in there so they go after them and keep running.
Wow.
Yeah, do you think like Costco treadmills? Like I would definitely try to keep my cardio up.
Yeah, talking about sticking together there. Dan V900. How are we getting a Clayface film set in the DCU before Batman Part 2? Can't have competing Batman films. Part 2 was supposed to be out next year originally. I know. I'm telling you, there's every comment. I'm with you guys. I just feel there's way more to it. I really do.
And the Clayface is not supposed to be part of the Reeves, though. That I don't think they have anything.
No, that's like, part of the DCU. But they could now make that part of Reeves thing with the DCU if they go that way. Pete Parker 2288. When will we get another Spawn movie or show? Well, if you talk to Todd McFarlane, he always says it's coming. And now I talked to him. He was on the show in like 2018, 2019. He said it was closer. That was 6 years ago. Have anybody heard it? Coy, you heard anything about that?
Last time I talked to Todd it was either New York or San Diego. And apparently Jamie Foxx is still attached and he was very excited that there was an announcement coming. But
yeah,
that would I feel the same. I mean, we're going to get Batman 2 maybe before, Spawn.
If Jamie was still attached, I mean, part of the reason we've heard nothing is obviously he had that horrible medical emergency this year where, we thought we were about to lose Jamie. So that all of that may have just been delayed even more so.
Yeah.
All the back catalog of his, responsibility is like, right. Who knows how far out Jamie's schedule is. So maybe that's it.
Matt Garcia definitely wanted to shout out Batman Cape Crusader on Amazon and Superman Lois. Well, we did definitely cover Superman Lois. Yeah, Batman Crusader. Did you guys watch that? You guys watch that one?
I didn't. The funny thing is I actually heard that wasn't very good from a number of people.
Okay.
But if you liked it, I mean, I'm happy to hear that. I didn't dive deep into that. The other big one that we didn't talk about was the Crisis on Infinite Earths 3-part like movie that released starting in January, ended I want to say like August. Which overall was pretty good. It was a little messy here and there, but I think it was a nice way to wrap up the Tomorrowverse that they had been building out for the last like 2 or 3 years, longer than that, maybe about 5 years actually.
Yeah, like 5 or 6. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm excited to.
Brooklyn, happy holidays, everyone. The future dream sequence in Creature Commandos with everyone dead on a stake. Was that our first look at DCU's Batman? Well, yeah, sure. I mean, it was.
Yeah, canonically, we've seen that Superman and Batman now.
Yeah. I mean, because and they even have those in the trailer for one of the episodes too. So it's not really a spoiler because it is in the trailer. But yeah, I think that's absolutely a first look at a lot of them, and even Peacemaker and everybody's in there. So yeah, if you look at that one particular scene, I think they give a little peek, and I think that was obviously Gunn doing that on purpose. He knows how to play.
And Blue Beetle was in there, which gives me hope for
yeah,
because Sholo's supposed to be. So I was happy to see Blue Beetle.
Dan V900, the Batman Cape Crusader show was good. Someone said that, so there you go. So people are enjoying that one. Dan V 900. The Doctor Strange and Ultron winning apps clear the rest. Oh, the Doctor Strange and Ultron, is that from the?
Oh, I think that was season 1.
Yeah.
Those ones that we thought led to Multiverse of Madness. Yeah, those were great. And then there was some Ultron stuff season 2. I think the episodes. The tricky thing is, what if comics don't need to be connected? That's the whole point. Is that it's an anthology, but in the show, the medium of television, it feels weird that some things connect and some things don't. So the show just feels like meandering.
Yeah. Killa Cam. Pete Parker needs to meet Hugh Janus. Nice. In Spider-Man 4. I will tell you that, the jokes aside, one of the things that they apparently the Spider-Man 4 script is a mess. Did you hear this?
So I heard that, but I heard it from Todd's mom, 87.
Right.
Like whereas when you hear anything from Tom Holland in interviews, he's like, I'm actually getting to be a part of this. I'm involved. I would trust actual sources than someone's on.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, there's always rumors behind every movie, good or bad. Spidey Sensei 72. Hey, Winston, reach out to Jay and invite him over for New Year's Eve. He needs some good cheer going into 2025. Jay Washington, I guess.
Yeah, I have.
There you go. Ewok, thoughts on the brief appearances of Batman and Wonder Woman in Creature Commandos? Do you think their live action costumes will be the same? The Superman in Creature Commandos had Corin Sweat's costume. Yeah, I think that absolutely. I think that's what James Gunn is doing, where he's setting it up inside of this universe.
And then, we got to see the sigil that is, our new Superman. And I think it will be, because we know the voice actors are doing all the different mediums. So I think this is all very high stakes important.
Armada, thoughts on Evil Dead Rise director making a Mummy movie for Blumhouse? I'd like for a continuation of the Fraser movies, but if not, bring it on. I don't know. The Evil Dead Rise was. It depends on what they're going to let him do as far as tone. But what do you guys think?
My cat is losing his mind. I think that The Mummy is ripe for a new adaptation. I don't know if Brendan Fraser and that team is Blum, but I know Brendan Fraser has said he wanted to come back. So I'd love either a horror Mummy or a Fraser.
Go ahead, Winston.
Fraser Mummy is one of my favorites, but I just don't. I don't think he's the same action star. So I'm just curious, what if he's just going to produce on it or how he wants to be involved.
Fraser's not part of that. He's not part of that. What he's saying, he's not going to be part of.
Oh, I thought Coy was implying that he might.
I'd love both because I think a horror would be great. I don't think Fraser would ever be horror, so I'm saying Blumhouse would be cool. I'm Batman and Brave and Bolding here. I'm saying both would be great.
Dan V900. Deadline says the reason for the delay, besides the script, is that part 2 will be VFX heavy with the summer 2025 production start date. Still crazy. Yeah, it doesn't need to be that heavy. I hope not, but I guess
it's Batman.
But what if it's Mr. Freeze like the rumor? What if it's we just don't know what it is. So not rushing it is always.
Yeah.
I waited for Terminator 2. I waited for Avatar.
Yeah. Josh Paul, if Superman flops, will they bring Batman 2 closer? And the script's got to be done. I mean, it doesn't matter what the script's got to be done. It doesn't matter what flops and what doesn't. There's a whole new direction if James Gunn is even there if Superman flops. Armada, Batman delay because of Pattinson being in Odyssey? Well, not necessarily, because you have enough time in your schedule to map that out, and he was signed on to that first.
On top of the fact that, if I'm not mistaken, even if he's being included in Odyssey, you guys got to understand how first chair works in the industry, meaning that if you're already tied to something like the Batman, which obviously I guarantee you that's in first chair, that's in first position for Pattinson over the Odyssey. So yeah. I think the delays are something different, and now the priority might get shifted, because if they're not ready, then he's going to probably be like, then I want to go focus on something else right now. But yeah, no, I don't think that's what did it.
Trey Woods put in a little donation. Thank you, Trey. Next one is Armada. Batman 2 films fall of 2025. I guess it still is coming. Is it still filming? Is that what they said? I just don't know when it's. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's saying that's when it films, but yeah. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see if that's the case. They said the script's not even done. Marcus M. Snyder said that Gunn wants Pattinson in the DCU, and that Pattinson wants to be in the DCU, but that Reeves was the only holdup. I mean, again, possible, all possible. I'm telling you, this story. This is the beginning of a very big story. Mr. I Crappin' Shits. Happy holidays, gentlemen. Thank you for being a great representation of nerd culture and admonishing the toxic side of fandom. Thank you. Here is to 2025. # beat Roka. Thank you, Crappin' Shits. What a nice thing to say. Trey Woods, 2027. I smell a major creative shift with Batman 2. Agreed. Bam 86. Crypto the Superdog does not fit Reeves Batman. I mean, that's you can't see that Batman with that dog though. That's probably true. But then again, does Creature Commandos fit with Superman? Superman in the way that they're filming it now with Frankenstein running around the joint and all that. I mean, maybe it does, but I don't know.
There's a kaiju in the trailer. I think that makes more sense.
That's true. Yeah. All right. Dancing Dog 60, because we lose Coy in about 2 minutes. Do you think there's a good Street Fighter film that could be made with actual fighting in it? Yes. It was one of my favorite arcade games back in the day. I say this all the time. There's a good movie in everything with the right director and right writer. It's not everybody can do it. But Winston, you got to get back in that camera. You hate that camera. I don't know why you hate moving out of the frame. There you go.
And I can do till 30, Kristian.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, so we should have that done by then. So do you guys think there's a good Street Fighter film in there? Anywhere?
I think video game movies are finally being seen as great serialized entertainment like comic books, and I think we will get to a good video game era, especially in how good Sonic is and how good Gran Turismo was. I think Street Fighter could be made into a great serialized bit of art.
Yeah, it can. I think the main thing that we've learned from these video game movies that are working, stay true to the characters. That's what people are there for in the first place. And I think that has really been the problem with any of the adaptations we've seen previously, is you either fully mess with the world in a way that we weren't ready for, or you don't stay true to the characters and who they are.
DG, everyone knows you never go full Rhino. # Craven. Where'd you go, Coy? Is Coy gone now? Coy's gone.
Nope.
All right, he's back. All right. Crystal DW fan. Unpopular opinion. I wish they'd give Batman and Superman a rest. When Aquaman and Wonder Woman came out, was so excited for the DC universe. Want that feeling again. Sigh. I understand that, but I think that if you're establishing a new universe, you got to go with the big dogs first.
You literally just say, I hear what you're saying, but that'd literally be like, you know what? I love watching that Olympic basketball men's team. I wish they would just let LeBron and Steph just sit on the bench for a while. Like you got to put your best foot forward, and those two are the two biggest in the DC slate.
Yeah. Okay, Coy. Coy, you're muted. You're not on there. Is that whatever happened to your camera? You might have to sign back in again. Why don't you do that? Sign back in. All right. I'll save that from Julius because that's to Coy. Armada, genius movie pitch. Buddy cop movie with Jeff Snyder and Booker T uncovering a gambling heist in Atlantic City. Sign me up all day.
I would watch that.
All day I would sign up for that one. Go get the bank. Jeff Snyder. That's my favorite. All right, let's see. Next one here. And I think there's only a few left, so that'll be, and then prediction. Isabella Merced is going to be a star. I think she's already on her way. That's from Dancing Dogs.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's already on her way. There's another Coy one. So let's see. Is that it? Oh, yeah, Coy's back. Let me just get Coy. Hold on a second. Can I hear you, Coy?
Yeah, you got me again?
Yeah. Let me just put you in the frame, everybody. Hold on a second, everybody. Get Coy back in here. Should be popping up in a second. There he is. Okay. All right, Coy, we got two specifically to you. So let's get to both of those because there was one beforehand which was hilarious. Julius Wyatt. Coy repeating what I said before had me dying. I guess Coy and I have a Los Angeles to Atlanta movie mind meld. Have a great New Year, everybody. Yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
I love that I posted
Like verbatim
feature so I can vouch for that actually happening,
Yes.
not me just becoming Juliet for a moment. But hey, we had a great day, me and him.
It was really funny. Eric Kirby. Coy, be careful with your tabby cat. I remember Jonesy in the first Alien movie just smiling while Harry Dean Stanton got killed. Ever since then, I don't trust him. At least the dog would have a bark.
It feels like
Yeah.
at my house with this cat freaking out. He got out for the first time and now wants to be outside, and he's an indoor cat, so he's just asking to be let out like he's an outside coyote. He's not. So
No.
yes, I'm being weary.
Calvin Patel. Which one comes out first, Blade or Batman 2?
Oh my God.
I say Blade. I say Blade.
at this point, probably Blade.
I say Blade. Blade comes out first.
I think Blade is more developed in the public, but I don't know if the script is because I've heard Matt Reeves said too, like I said, so Travis, the script was done. I don't know if a Blade script is done to the level they need it to. Like, I don't know. That's a good question.
Jenny Lynn Lawson. With Supergirl to start filming in January, what are you all looking most forward at two? I think, I don't know. With Supergirl to start filming in January, what are you all most looking forward to? I'm not sure.
I guess most looking forward to in the Supergirl film would be my guess is what
Maybe.
they're trying to say.
I'm looking to see Millie Alcock as Supergirl. Honestly, I really like her, and I think she's going to be solid. And the tone, we'll see what the tone is if it carries over to the same tone Superman has.
I'm excited because Superman looks to be dealing with like Daily Planet and Pa Kent and like Small. I'm really excited for a cosmic Supergirl movie because the story in the comics is so cosmic. I think it'll be really cool to have those two kind of back to back. So that's what I'm excited about.
Haskell. Hey guys, okay, if you had a voodoo ball sack and could pick one person to feel like they've just been kicked in the nuts, who are you picking? Happy New Year. Let's see. I don't know. I don't have one right now.
Whoever greenlit Madame Web and Craven.
I'm with that. I'm with Winston on that one. I would do the same. Yeah, I don't know. It's a new year. I want to be happy with people.
Yeah, I want joy. I got off Twitter so as to not be hacky sacking.
Yeah, and if it was just the pain, Ed, I'd give Soto a whack in the nuts. Just let him, say, hey, you want to be happy on the Mets? Yeah. Let's see. Okay, we have a couple left here. Pete Parker, how hyped are you for that He-Man idea? It sucks. I was so excited for that movie, and now it sucks. You guys hear the newest news on that? Travis Knight, who I love from Bumblebee and Kubo, and I thought was just going to be such a good choice. They're putting him in Earth again. He's like Neo, where he doesn't really understand. He doesn't even know that he's He-Man and he's on Earth. It's so stupid. It's like
awful.
It's awful. Him on Earth is the stupidest thing ever. If that is indeed true, but really dumb. Well, we hit it. We hit our. That was the last one. And so, guys, I regret to inform you that Rocha has defeated you today. But that's okay.
What was the final count?
72.
Yeah,
so
that's
good.
We started strong, but that's
good
better.
for Rocha. Way to end his 2024.
Yes. But nonetheless, you guys, it was a fun show. It was a great show. I'm so glad that you joined us here today. Quick shout. Where can they find you in your channels, Coy? Start with you. Go ahead.
Find me at Coy Jandro right here on YouTube. Type my name in. I got a lot of stuff coming. Videos starting tomorrow. I'm doing 2-a-days for the rest of the year. Get after it.
The Swaggy Blurred here on YouTube, all over the platforms. Come check some out.
PLD's trying to get you guys pushed over the limit. He said 1 of 72.
I love how personal it is.
He's trying to, and then Haskell. Wait, how many shy of Rocha? Right now it's 74. They need about 29 right now in order to do it. So we gotta end the show. So we can't do it. So I would ask everybody. I'm calling it because we all got to go. But thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you guys for being here today. We'll be back on Monday. Thank you for all the support. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. You guys are the best. Thank you to Winston. Thank you to Coy. And Capes and Cowls will be back in 2025. We shall see you guys on the flip side. Bye-bye.